Hmm? Ah!
What are you doing here?
Jack, how did you find me?
You were in a car accident. You were brought into my hospital. What are you doing here?
We have to go back.
Of course. Of course we do.
Jack, the people I left behind need our help. We're supposed to go back.
Because it's our destiny. How many times are you going to say that to me, John?
How can you not see it? Of all the hospitals they could have brought me to, I end up here. You don't think that's fate?
Your car accident was on the west side of Los Angeles. You being brought into my hospital isn't fate, John. It's probability.
You don't understand. It wasn't an accident. Somebody is trying to kill me.
Why? Why would someone try to kill you?
Because they don't want me to succeed. They want to stop me. They don't want me to get back because I'm important.
Have you ever stopped to think that these delusions that you're special aren't real? That maybe there's nothing important about you at all? Maybe you are just a lonely old man that crashed on an island. That's it. Goodbye, John.
Your father says hello.
What?
A man. The man who told me to move the island. The man who told me how to bring you all back. He said to tell his son hello. It couldn't have been Saeed's father, and it wasn't Hurley's. That leaves you. He said his name was Christian.
My father is dead.
Well, he didn't look dead to me.
He died in Australia 3 years ago. I put him in the coffin. He's dead.
Jack, please, you have to come back. You're the only one who can convince the rest of them. You have to help me. You're supposed to help me.
John, it's over. It's done. We left, and we were never important. So you leave me alone. And you leave the rest of them alone.
Welcome to another episode of the Revisited Podcast. I'm Ben.
And I'm Kristin. This week we are covering Season 5, Episode 7, The Life and Death of Jeremy Bentham.
It's no LaFleur.
No.
But it is such a great episode. It's one of the highest rated episodes of the season, too.
Yeah, it's up there probably with The Constant. When you said of the season, I was thinking of the series.
Yeah, it's I think it's got an 8.8 out of 10 on IMDb, which out of the rest of the season, I think is one of the highest rated episodes of the season.
Yeah, well, this episode touches on a lot of just a lot of like feelings, it's got suspense in it. It's got sadness. It's got happiness. It's got hope. It's got despair. And I think that Locke is just such a fan favorite anyways. And we get to see Walt.
Yes, we do.
Which is very cool. Like for me, I knew we were going to see Walt.
I forgot.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I love this episode because I know that we get to see Walt. But when I first see him coming out of that school, I'm just like, oh, yay, it's Walt. Yay.
I don't think this is the first time. I think this is the first time, but it's not the last we see him this season.
It's the second to last. This is his last episode. But we do get like a glimpse of him at the end. But apparently I looked it up. It's like footage that they've already had.
Well, isn't there? I think there's a moment where Walt visits Hurley as well, but was that at the end of last season? Because I don't remember it in our recap of the first 5.
No, this is according to Lostpedia, this is the last time that Walt appears like in new footage.
Oh, in new footage. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, we're definitely going to see him again. Like I said, there is a moment where he goes to visit Hurley, and I think that might be coming in.
Everybody Loves Hugo.
Didn't we already see that episode?
No.
We didn't.
Nope.
When is that episode?
Later this season.
I'm looking at the list of episodes now, and no, it's not. That is not an episode yet this season.
Oh, then it's next season.
Okay. All right. I'll take your word for it. I guess
I only know it because Alana's in that episode.
Alana Masterson?
No. Elena. Alana.
Oh.
Our new character.
Everybody Loves Hugo is season 6, episode 12.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, that is a little ways off. But yeah, looking at the ratings of the episodes this season, it is the 4th highest rated episode of the season.
LaFleur is number 1, right? Number 1.
1 and 2 are in order of 1 and 2 are the Incident Part 2 and the Incident Part 1, which are the 2-part season finale. And 3 is LaFleur. So LaFleur is
Sawyer, and then Locke.
Oh yeah, Sawyer is a big part of that.
He's an enormous part of the incident.
Oh yeah, absolutely, for sure. So it makes sense, yeah, that finale is probably. I mean, the finales usually rate pretty high anyway.
Yeah, but this finale is a good one.
Oh, absolutely.
Tragic, but good.
I want to make note real quick, too, before we jump into actually breaking down the episode, that the video version of last week's episode is now available and is already getting some views, which is great. So in order to view that, the easiest way to do it is just check out our website, revisitedpod.com. There's a video tab at the top, and you'll see the video of last week's episode, so you can see Kristin's face and my ugly mug at the same time talking about the episodes.
I was very sick that day too.
You're still sick now, just not as sick as last week.
I'm not as sick, exactly.
Yeah, you're not as sick as last week.
It's the cold that will never die.
But if you're listening to the audio version of the podcast right now, there's nothing really different about it. We don't want you to feel too like you're missing too much. I think last week all we did was I posted a photo in the video for us to look at, but there was something you could very easily go online and look at too.
But if you're driving, don't do that.
Yes, just listen to the audio version. if you're driving,
don't look up any pictures either if you're driving.
Oh yeah, don't do that either.
Just use your memory, use your imagination.
My egotistical self automatically went to watching the video while you're talking about safety of looking up a picture.
It's the mom in me. It's the mom in me.
And we'll reiterate later. Yeah, stay safe. But we'll reiterate later too about the website. But again, if you want to check out the video version of this and all the future episodes and last week, revisitedpod.com, where you can also subscribe to the podcast, leave us feedback, and all that other fun stuff.
And just a little word to, or just a little note. We are a spoiler-filled podcast.
Thank you.
So if you haven't seen the show and you care about the spoilers, stop. But if you don't, or you have watched the show, then keep going.
Yeah, if you've recently discovered the podcast, yeah, that's a good note. That's a good thing to know. And hopefully there are people still discovering the podcast, especially now that we're back to doing this, which I'm really, really hopeful for. Let's get into the episode.
Yes, please.
Because there's a lot. There's a lot that happens. You want to kick us off?
Sure,
go for it.
So I want to talk about kind of this setup that we have that I think really kind of kicks off in this episode, and that's kind of Ben versus Charles Widmore. It's been alluded to, and we've seen them actually kind of face off in the past, and we've seen that they have this animosity towards each other. But I think that this is kind of the first time that we really see like the nuances and the manipulation between both Ben and Charles Whitmore, especially when it comes to Locke. For me, this was a guessing game for the whole back half of the series, was who really has the best intentions here. Is it Ben or is it Charles Whitmore? And you can, honest to God, make a case for both of them just by watching this one episode.
Yeah, I have that in my notes as well.
Yeah, and it confuses the viewer. Just like you almost feel like Locke. Locke is just as confused. He doesn't know who to believe. He doesn't know. He knows he's being manipulated. He knows for sure that he's being manipulated, but he doesn't know who is manipulating him. And I think that that's kind of how we as the viewer feel as well in this episode. What do you think about that?
No, I'm in complete agreement. Like I said, I do have that in my notes as well. That by the end of this episode, you're really conflicted as to who is the actual threat to the Oceanic Six and to everybody left on the island. Is it Ben, because that's what Charles Whitmore makes John Locke want to believe, or is it Charles Whitmore because Ben is still just as convincing and as manipulative as he's always been? But it's you kind of are of that ilk by the end of the episode. Like, okay, well, wait a minute. Is Ben manipulating people, or is he actually telling the truth and that this is the stuff that needs to happen?
Right.
And it's by the end of this episode, like, as two people who have seen this series, as most people who are listening to the podcast probably are, we know the truth about. Actually, I don't even really remember if it's ever revealed as to if Charles Whitmore really is as big of a threat as Ben makes him out to be.
So, not to jump on you.
No, fine.
What always brings me back to kind of Ben's side is his very last line to Hurley in the finale episode when he wants, right? So it's that line.
It's one of my favorite moments of the finale.
Right. But that's the line that always takes me back to, okay, Ben is really, he's pure of heart here. The only thing is that he's not doing everything correctly. It's almost like so we're getting into a lot of religious parallelism when you get further and further into this series. And it's almost like, being a Christian in Christianity, it's, you have all these really good intentions to do all this good, but you make all these terrible decisions and you can't take them back. You can just move forward and you can just try and fix what you've already done wrong. One of those biggest glaring mistakes for Ben is allowing his daughter, his fake daughter, to get killed. He called someone's bluff, right? That's something that fundamentally changes him.
Well, at the same time, too, like, I know we're constantly saying fake daughter because that's exactly who Alex was. Alex was not Ben's real daughter. We've discussed that. But I think in Ben's mind, she really was.
Okay, but
I'm just saying that kind of goes along with what we're saying, what you mentioned about how Ben is doing the bad things, but with the best of intentions. Like, I do truly believe he cared about Alex as his daughter. She just wasn't.
Do you think, so he kidnapped her. I mean, that's kidnapping, right? And holding her hostage. So, I mean, you could make an argument that he was doing it for Alex's overall safety, since Danielle Rousseau was not stable. She was not in her right mind. But at the same time, it's such a slippery slope because I still consider him to be a kidnapper. So that's like saying, like, all those people that kidnap children and keep them in a basement locked away and say your parents don't want you, right, for years and years. That's like saying, well, that was done with the best intentions when it wasn't.
Oh, I'm not saying what Ben did was right.
Right. I think we flirt very close to that line in this instance.
Mm-hmm.
So, and maybe listeners have their own opinions on that, but I really struggle with that decision. But my whole point is not about kind of the particulars on that. It's about the fact that he makes a mistake in the last minute of Alex's life by calling the bluff of, and his name is escaping me again, of that sadistic
Kimi.
Thank you, Kimi.
Kimi. Yeah.
And he kills her.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
it
so all he can do is keep moving forward. And that's really kind of Ben's whole shtick on the island, is that he wants so badly to do well, especially for Jacob, for the island, for everything that he's always believed in his entire life. But he fails so spectacularly in so many instances that it's difficult to kind of navigate your way through that. So,
well, I mean, and Ben is like, we've never made any bones about the fact that he is a complicated character, to put it incredibly lightly. And we'll talk a little bit more about how this episode ends too. But I mean, just to kind of, one of Ben's final lines in this episode after he does what he does is, I mean, I have it written down, is he says, "I'll miss you, John. I really will." And you can, like, as conflicted as you are in your mind as a viewer watching everything that just played out in that scene, when you watch the look on his face and the way he says those words, like, he's really believable. Like, you honestly do believe, and I do think he's telling the truth when he says, like, "I'll miss you, John," after he just got done murdering him.
So,
let's
talk. Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. He seems to have changed his mind in that hotel room almost instantaneously the moment he heard the words Eloise Hawking.
Yes.
He was on his way to helping John complete this mission. When he heard that Jin was alive and he said a promise is a promise, I think that there was probably a plan developing to maybe manipulate that situation later. But the minute that John said Eloise Hawking, everything changed. Like, his whole plan changed, and he ends up murdering John. And you can see John is so confused as he dies. And that's just so heartbreaking,
And what's worse about that too is witnessing, like you said, witnessing the confusion in his face as Ben has that cord wrapped around his neck, is that I think out of the entire course of the series up until this point, this is the most sorry I have ever felt for John. Because John is more broken in this episode. It's so complicated because he's more broken in this episode than I think we've seen him yet, both physically, mentally, and well, I say both, and I just mentioned three things. All like physically in his leg, and mentally and emotionally, like, he's just a broken person. He finds
I'd say that he's also spiritually broken.
Well, that too, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, his leg is broken. He's found out that the only person in his life he's ever loved is gone. He's so confused and conflicted as to who is the threat, who is not, between Ben and Charles Whitmore, to the point where he's ready to end it all just to convince these people that this is what needs to be done. He's willing to sacrifice himself to do that. So, but at the same time,
Richard said that's why it's called a sacrifice.
Yes. And at the same time, it's complicated, as I mentioned, because not only is this the most broken we ever see him, I think, in the series so far, but I also think this episode is at one point the most genuinely happy we've ever seen John. And that's when he sees Walt. I think it's when he sees Walt.
Yeah. I think you're right.
I think he's genuinely happy in that moment to see that Walt is safe. And this is a person he connected with probably more than anybody on that island. And he's getting to reconnect with them again, if only for a moment. And that's genuine happiness for John. So to see,
I wish that there could have been more of that scene. I wish that it could have been longer, that their conversation could have been longer.
I have a gripe with that scene, but we'll get to that when we talk a little bit more about that scene. So
back to the Ben versus Charles Widmore thing. When Charles Widmore is talking to John, about just about like, I'm going to make sure that everything I can do to help you to get back to the island, to get everybody back to the island. You know, I'm going to give you Matthew Abaddon. I'm going to, you know, make sure that everything's paid for. Here's all the files that you need, like whatever you need. You know, I know that Charles Widmore is a terrible human being, and I'm believing him in that moment.
I am too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, okay. Oh, I get it. Okay. Okay. And then I'm like, wait, no, Kristin, he's bad. He's bad. It was so hard.
Well, I mean, he's very convincing because you're listening to that speech he's giving John and you're like, well, maybe he's not as bad as we think he is. Like maybe this is what really needs to happen, because there are clues in this episode too that Charles Widmore, or at least we might be led to believe that Charles Widmore has been involved in everything since the beginning, like even before 815. Because we find out that Matthew Abaddon was the orderly in the hospital that was pushing John around, that convinced John to go on the walkabout. And if Matthew Abaddon is someone who works for Charles Widmore, that means Charles Widmore was an influence in these people's lives to get them on the plane.
Okay, but at the same time, when you look at the time lapses that happened at the beginning of this season, of course, Charles Widmore would be obsessed with finding these people and seeing that everything that they said was kind of true. I mean, John said, I'm going to be born in this hospital on this date at this time. And they go and they find out, yep, there he is. Right. And so they kind of follow him around because they know, how does he get to this point in 1954? Right. So of course they think he's special, but it's just because the island was being moved by Ben. So like, you just have to think like, what, of course, like, this is where my mind, as you can see by my speech, starts to break.
Yeah. There's a number of those moments in this episode, by the way.
And it's that age old question, what came first, the chicken or the egg, right?
Yeah.
How did the compass
it's the compass
enter the fold? It's the compass, right?
Yeah, it's the compass that we talked about last episode. But there are at least two other brain breaking moments in this episode that really, and one of them does involve Charles Widmore. And just to kind of, I'll focus on this one first because we're just talking about that moment with Charles and Locke in the hospital after he arrives in Tunisia. Is, you know, Charles Widmore gives John the whole speech about how like Ben exiled you, like he exiled me because we met when we were 17. So does that mean that Ben had Charles spin the wheel at the same time, the same way that John did? Like, is that how Charles was exiled? Because Charles Widmore knew the exit. So how would he know that unless he's been through it?
Oh like my gosh, that's such a good point.
Right? And now here's the other brain-breaking moment that's kind of related to that. When Ben spun the wheel and Ben arrived in Tunisia, there was no camera. Like, he just arrived in Tunisia. But when John arrives there, there's a camera waiting for him. So does that mean...
Who put the camera there?
Charles Widmore. Like, John asks him, is that your camera? And Charles says yes. So...
Yeah, but is he telling the truth?
I think he is. And here's why. This is the brain-breaking moment. I think the same way that Daniel talks to Desmond and Desmond suddenly has a memory of that in the present day, I think John meeting Charles when he was 17 did the same thing to Charles Widmore. So Charles knew that was going to happen and put a camera in that spot, knowing where the exit was and knowing that John was going to be exiled.
Well, okay. So to me, Eloise Hawking is the genius of the Widmore-Hawking pairing. And she seems to know where all the thin spots are, where you could get in and out, right? So who's to say, right, that it isn't Eloise Hawking that knows all of this and maybe told Widmore? Because during the 70s, at least, you know that the Dharma Initiative can get to and from the mainland to this island. Like they know how to travel, right? But then you have to throw in the the variant here, and that's Richard Alpert. So Richard Alpert, he never ages. He seems to know everything. He's always around. So who's not to say that he has set up a lot of this? Because we see him off the island and on the island as well.
Yes.
So, I mean,
he's part of the compass circle.
I can, right, exactly. I mean, I can see Widmore putting up the cameras because he has the means to do that, but I don't think he has the brains to do it.
Okay. That's fair enough. I mean, again, it's just a theory.
Right. No, and it's a great theory. I'm just trying to talk it out.
Yeah. Like when he asks John, like, how long has it been since we met to you? Because you met me when I was 17. And he says, like, it's only been 4 days. Like, that's why I'm thinking, like, well, see, now that's a flaw in my theory. Because if Charles Whitmore had a sudden new memory, it would have happened 4 days ago for him, which is how he would have known already how long it's been.
4 days. Yeah, that's true.
It would have been 4 days. So that kind of puts a flaw in my theory. So never
Interesting.
mind.
4 days for John.
Well, no, I mean, it would have been 4 days ago that Charles Whitmore had the new memory. Because that's when it was for John. It was 4 days for John, which means that's when the new memory was created. Maybe? I don't know.
He could have, you know what? And he could have put up the cameras in that 4 days.
Exactly. So that's what I mean. Like, I don't know. But again, going back to my previous theory is that, well, like, is that how Charles Whitmore got off the island? Did Ben trick him into spinning the wheel the same way he did John? Because he knew the exit. He even says that's where the exit is.
No, because Ben wasn't alive. No, Ben wouldn't have been alive when he got off the island because he had to have Penny, and Penny wasn't born on the island. He had to have, you know what I mean? Like,
he says in that conversation with John, Ben tricked me and exiled me. The same way he exiled you.
Then, I mean, if that's the truth, then, I mean, he still was traveling on and off the island, though. He had to have been because he had his two children.
But who's to say Penny was not born on that island? It's never revealed she wasn't. It's never revealed that Penny was not born on the island.
Was Daniel?
I think, yeah, because I think Eloise, when we see her later in, I think next season, I think she's pregnant. Not like showing pregnant, but she's pregnant. I think he was conceived on the island.
Interesting. Well, she would have had to leave the island in order to have him.
True. Yeah. So I don't know.
We are going very down a rabbit hole right now.
That's what we do on this podcast. I mean, so it's just, yeah, I mean, these are things I had in my notes. I had, did Charles also spin the wheel? Camera not there for Ben. Did Charles just get a memory of Locke? So I'm able to cross off a bunch of my notes right here. Where the exit is, like that's another part of it. And it's also interesting to note, too, about the waking up in Tunisia, that when Ben spun the wheel, he arrives 10 months in the future. Locke arrives 3 years in the future.
So now, when did Widmore arrive?
Exactly. Like, he could have arrived... Again, more freaking rabbit hole, man. That's why I love and hate this show at the same time.
I love this show. I love shows that break my brain. I really do. I know some people don't, especially if they don't get any payback. But for me, I love the what if question. And so I love being able to just kind of like go down one of these little rabbit holes that we always find ourselves down, because it's so fun to just ask questions and theorize and like create your own headcanon.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I love the fact that my brain is breaking right now, and I've seen this show how many times?
I know, I have a headache.
Well, yours might just be a cold.
No.
It's not. It's from this.
No, it's from this. My head was just fine before we started recording.
It's just, yeah, I mean, and the funny thing is too that out of all the notes I have for this episode, all of that brain breaking stuff that we just talked about was literally 4 lines of all of my notes for this episode. Because I mean, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 things just on the opening of this episode.
Okay, go for it.
Well, I mean, do we have any more do you have any more on the whole Ben and Charles dynamic? Because I don't want to get away from that if we have more to talk about.
So I do think, and I think that we have to kind of talk about Ben, Charles, and Locke kind of in the same breath here. Because I think that Locke is being used as a tool between Ben and Widmore for this episode. And I think that we see a lot of light and dark elements and, these whole biblical elements, because, I mean, like it or not, Jacob and the Man in Black are going to be heavily influenced. Their story is heavily influenced by the Bible. So look at
Jacob alone is
well, and the fact that they're white and black, they're light and dark, they're good and evil. And I think that when you look back on this episode and you rewatch it, you're trying to fit Ben and Charles Widmore into these light and dark pieces, right? Who is what? And I think it's really fun to do that because this is kind of like a setup and a foreshadow into season 6, going into season 6, when we really dive into Jacob and the Man in Black and how Locke really plays both sides in his entire arc of the series. He spends the first half of the series fully in the light. And then after this episode, he is now going to be totally different. He is now the Man in Black.
He's gone to the dark side.
Yeah. And it's heavily influenced by Charles Widmore.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that you bring it up that way too, because I mean, when you look at the way we have already in the past about all these characters and how they're merely chess pieces in a big game of chess that, Jacob and the Man in Black are playing, it's basically, you look at John Locke as the pawn, and then you look at Charles Widmore and Ben Linus as like the rook or the bishop, and it's okay, who's going to take the pawn? Like, one of these two is trying to capture the pawn, and it's a matter of who. That then becomes the question: is like, okay, who are the white, who are the black, and who was already in control of this pawn that the other one is trying to take it?
Yes, 100%. Which is also, it kind of leads into like my second like whole half of the episode with kind of the plane crash and the characters. So, I mean, we could go into that now, or we can just save that for later.
I don't know. Like, I mean, I can go into the opening real quick, and then because I have a lot on that too.
Sure.
On all the meetings of all the characters. So just to kind of jump real quick back to the opening of the episode, we see right away that the plane has landed. And it's landed on a runway that is kind of, we know where this runway came from. We know from all of the context clues of this episode, they are on Hydra Island. This is the smaller island. This is not the main island. This is the island where Kate and Sawyer were held captive by Ben when they were in the cages, when they had them put to work, when Tom Friendly had them building the runway. This is the runway that they were working on. Which kind of makes you wonder, like, okay, why were they building this runway to begin with? They jokingly say back in season 3, like Juliet jokingly says, for aliens. Well, I'm not saying they're aliens, and that's what this whole season was. They were obviously building this runway for a reason, even though they kind of knew they couldn't get off the island. The only way was to get off by sub. So was this something that Ben knew was eventually going to happen, or were they building the runway just to be hopeful? Because now the runway's been used. Because we find Lapidus actually brought the plane down safely instead of crashing like 815. And it looks like he brought it down on this runway and it kind of veered off into the jungle.
Didn't Lapidus say he could have brought down the original plane safely too?
Yes, he does.
Yeah. Yep. So he probably landed and he was like, fucking told you.
Well, I mean, we already know how much of an amazing pilot Lapidus is because he brought down the chopper when it was on the verge of crashing.
Yep.
He's an amazing pilot. Oh God, Frank Lapidus is the best. So, I mean, we see that the plane has been landed safely, kind of veered off into the jungle, and we'll get more of the plane next season. But we do know that everybody has survived. There's a couple that are injured, but everybody that was on the plane has survived, with the exception of the people that disappeared. And then we get the big reveal. So the episode opens with Caesar rummaging through the Hydra office. And he runs into he finds a couple things that are very familiar if you're paying attention. The pages that he finds are pages from Daniel's journal and the map that Rousseau drew of the island. So,
which is the exact view that Locke has as he's looking out from Hydra out into the ocean.
Yes.
I believe that's the same exact view as Rousseau's map.
I think it is. Yeah. But I mean, it starts to beg the question, which we already know the answer to, is how did these pages end up in an office on Hydra Island? And it's because, spoiler, they're all in the past, and Daniel's journal gets left behind in the past. As does Daniel, but we'll get to that later.
I love Daniel too. I love all these characters so much.
Yes. So that I have the note on the runway they were building. I find it very interesting too that one of the other things that we get that we see in this episode is a big foreshadowing to the end of this season. And that is the Life magazine that Caesar finds with the explosion on the front. That is a huge foreshadowing to how this season is going to end. And I just love that was thrown in there, especially considering this was a Life magazine from the 50s. So it's even before that event at the end of the season happens. So, which I thought was a lot of fun. We haven't gotten much of Caesar's character yet. He's still very much a mystery, even to me, because I don't remember a lot about Caesar's character, even though he's a big character from pretty much from here till the end of the series.
Actually, he's not.
Okay.
So I looked it up.
I don't remember. So
I looked it up because, first of all, I know this actor from he was in Boondock Saints. He was in the second Boondock Saints.
Wait, was he the? Oh, I didn't recognize him.
Yeah, okay. And he pops up everywhere. Anyways, so I look it up, and Caesar and Alana were supposed to. So for Flight 316, they were supposed to be the Jack and Kate, right? So the original idea for Jack and Kate was for Jack to die and for Kate to be the leader, right?
Okay.
So they actually do that this time around. So Caesar's only in 4 episodes and Alana is in 16 episodes.
Okay.
So he was supposed to have a bigger role, but they scrapped it and they ended up not doing what they originally planned for Caesar, and he actually only spends 4 episodes with us.
Okay, yeah, see, I don't remember. All I remember is that in this episode, he takes the gun that he finds.
And he hides it from Alana.
He hides it from Alana, which means he's already shady as shit.
And he is a shady character.
Okay.
Yeah, he is a shady character.
I don't remember a lot about Caesar, and I'm really looking forward to finding out more.
Yeah, I brushed up on both of them because I was like, this is it. It was, if I didn't brush up on them, it was going to bother me.
The curiosity just got the better
it
of
was
you.
just going to bother me. So I did actually take a deep dive this morning into that. So I feel ready to talk about them. But I'm glad that you brought all of these guys up. Are you done?
Just a couple other notes from it. I mean, obviously we have, I found it very interesting that when Locke is explaining, or who we are assuming at this point is John Locke, who is very much alive at this point. He's very open about everything.
Yeah.
To these people that he's never met before, to Caesar, to Alana, he's very open, like including the fact that like he died. He's been on this island before. He was on this island for 100 days. He thinks the reason why he's so well dressed is because that's what they were going to bury him in. Like, he's not holding anything back with these people. He's just anything they ask him, he is a complete open book with these people.
I think it's also because the island is so freaking weird to begin with. Like, it's like, you got to get on board with this weird stuff or you're not going to survive.
Well, I love the fact too that when Caesar, when he tells him like I spent 100 days on this island, and Caesar's like 100 days, he's like, well, how did you get off the island? And John's like, the timeline would confuse you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like, you just said that. You just pretty much just said that. What that every viewer has
total
been
fan service.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yes, the timeline would just confuse you,
right?
Because we're still confused, but we're still watching. Yeah, I mean, so it's just, but I mean, at the same time, again, this is going into spoiler territory. We know a little bit more about who this really is. So this is pretty much somebody who's just using John's body as a vessel. But at the same time, we're starting to realize at this point too, that everybody the Man in Black uses as a vessel, he also has their memories. He knows who they are. He knows their life because he can speak as if he's them. He did the same thing for Christian, because I don't think we see Christian Shepherd again. I could be totally wrong on that. But I think this is
totally right. I don't know.
This is a new vessel. Yeah.
Unless he appears in I'm sorry.
No,
we
it's
keep
fine.
Talking over each other.
It's totally fine. All I was gonna say is like this is a new vessel for the Man in Black, which means he's finished with Christian Shepherd. So
yeah, oh gosh. Interesting.
I don't remember if we ever see Christian Shepherd again, and now I need to look it up.
And I am looking it up right now. So
are you?
There
Okay.
you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't remember if this is the last time we see him. No, it's not the last time we see Christian Shepherd, because we do see him in the series finale.
That's what I was going to ask. That was my main question, is if we saw him in the series finale. So I'm glad that you looked that up real quick, because
I didn't look up. That I remember
up at the same time. I'm not that.
I didn't look up. That I remembered.
Okay.
Yeah, we do see him in the series
everybody.
finale.
We see pretty much everybody in the series finale, though.
Oh, we get Anna Lucia back. We get
every time she shows up, I just get happy. I love Michelle Rodriguez so much.
This is off the topic, but did you see the trailer for Dungeons and Dragons that she's in?
No, but I know she's in it because she's on the poster, and I got excited.
And it looks so good. It looks.
I know nothing about Dungeons and Dragons other than what Stranger Things has taught me.
I don't think you really need to.
Thank God.
In order to, I mean, there's obviously going to be some little hints and stuff for people that play to make them more excited, but I think you're going to be. I don't think you need to be like a player to enjoy the movie.
Good, because I do. I mean, it's popular for a reason. There's the Eddie Munson likes it for a reason.
Oh, poor Eddie.
I love Eddie Munson. So, okay, I'm going to kind of go with this, with the plane crash, plane landing a little bit more, because I want to talk about kind of we have three different kind of plot lines now, just from Flight 316. So we have, in a burst of light, we have Jack, Kate, and Hurley have disappeared. Okay. We don't know where Saeed is. We know that when the plane landed, the pilot and a woman, who I assume is son, took off with a boat.
Mm-hmm.
And then the man that we're calling Locke and Ben didn't disappear in a flash of light. They landed with the plane.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 3 different offshoots that are now happening here. And I think what's interesting is that Ben wasn't allowed to go with Jack, Hurley, and Kate. Ben had to stay behind with the man in black. And I'm interested in why.
Well, I think the more interesting thing about these 3 offshoots that you mentioned is that the writers are doing such a good job. Like, they kind of hinted at where Jack, Kate, and Hurley ended up.
The 70s.
I mean, that's pretty clear. That's like we're meant to assume that they're in the past, even though it's never truly revealed.
Mhm.
That's where they are. But we have those 3 different offshoots, and at that point, nobody really knows where any of them are. Like, we don't know that all 3 of these people or all 3 of these offshoots aren't in the same timeline.
That's true.
We don't know that yet.
Well, the boats appeared when? Because those boats appeared during the island skipping.
Yes, because at one point we see them in the water and they're being shot at.
Correct.
So is that the survivors of Akira shooting at them?
I think so. I
mean, that's
think that we get the answer on that.
I think we do.
We just can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think we get an answer on that.
But it's also, I think we do get the answer on that, but it's also interesting to note, too, that when they time jump, they take the boat with them. Like, they don't just randomly appear in the water because the boat disappears from out from under them.
Right.
When they jump, the boat goes with them.
Well, I think it's established that if you're touching it, it goes with you with the compass.
Okay.
We're back to the compass again.
I know. Well, the compass is the true mind fuck in all of this. Sorry, like, part of my language.
I agree.
But like the compass is, it's weird to almost think about like that the compass is the constant for the viewer.
Oh my gosh, you're totally right.
Right?
Yes.
It's the one thing, like Daniel Faraday and Desmond are connected. They need something that connects them. The compass is what connects the viewer to everything else that is happening. The compass is the constant for the viewer.
Which is good, because sometimes when you get really wrapped up in the particulars, you need to go back to the compass to kind of, and every single time if you get, and oh gosh, this is so great, because even when we get lost,
yeah,
we always go back to a compass to find our way again.
Yeah.
So that's a metaphor in itself.
Yeah.
And that's really the show kind of in your face about it.
I love when we have these conversations because it always makes me think of something I've never thought of before. Mm-hmm. And the compass being the constant for the viewer literally was just something like, holy shit, like I just thought of this. I need to say it.
Yeah, anybody that's watching the YouTube video of this, both of our brains just clicked.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But yeah, like you're right. Like we talked about going back to like these 3 different offshoots. We have Son and Frank, who were in the boat, who we're meant to believe is Son, and obviously it very much is. She's going back to the island because she wants to see if she can find Jin.
So she knows that she's not on the island.
Yes, she knows she's not on the main island.
Which is interesting, right? She doesn't tell anybody else. She's like, screw the rest of you guys. Me and Lapidus are off. We're going on a side quest.
She doesn't know any of these people. I don't think she really needs to tell them.
She has one goal.
Mm-hmm.
She has one goal of this entire thing, and that is to find Jin.
Yeah, it's the only reason she came back. It's the only reason she got on that plane.
Mm-hmm.
Is because Jin is alive. She's going to find Jin. So, I mean, the moment she got off that plane, That was her goal. That was
Mhm.
instantly the biggest concern in her mind. Frank goes along for the ride because they're familiar with each other. She doesn't know any of these other people. She's certainly not going to take Ben with her.
She trusts Frank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, okay, so why didn't Sun disappear with the rest of them? Why did she land with everybody else? And why is it that Ben, I'm still trying to figure out why is it that Ben wasn't allowed to disappear as well. I mean, it's probably a good thing because Ben just throws a wrench into anything that he does.
Yeah.
But it makes me wonder if that is the sacrifice that's happening. It's not Locke, but it's Ben is sacrificing his own life and his own story for the good of the island to be chained to the man in black now.
well, I mean, and that's exactly it. Like, I mean, it's a lot easier to explain why. It's at least it's a lot easier to theorize why Ben didn't go back in time with everybody else to be with the rest of the survivors than it is to theorize why Sun didn't. Sun, I don't really have an answer as to why, and I can't even try and make one up as to why she didn't flash away like the other ones did. Ben, it's a little easier because you can say, well, the man in black who's now taken over the body of John Locke knows who Ben is, and he decided to keep Ben behind. He tethered Ben to him so Ben would stay there.
Mm-hmm. So
Like,
that Ben wouldn't screw anything else up.
Exactly.
For the man in black. I understand that. But there's also the lighthouse episode that's going to come up, and we're going to see names. We're going to see some of them crossed out. We're going to see some of them still circled. And I think that maybe Sun is kind of off the list at this point. So while she came back, she didn't come back for the betterment of the island or the betterment of the survivors. She came back for completely selfish reasons as far as the island itself is considered. You know, she's not back there to just be back there. She's back there so that she can get Jin and she can go home.
Yeah.
Like the end. The rest of them are back with an open agenda.
Well, maybe that's exactly it. Maybe that's exactly why Sun wasn't taken back, is because Sun no longer had any interest. Whoever is in charge of doing all of this, whoever is the influence and behind all of this, whoever's controlling all this, whether it's the man in black or whether it's Jacob or even some other higher power above, you're right. Sun really has one goal. She has no concern for the sake of the island. Mm-hmm. She has no concern. She's really no concern for anybody else that's there with her. Like, I don't even think she really cares what happens to Jack and Kate. I mean, she cares about these people, but they're not a concern for her anymore.
They're not her family.
No,
they're not her family.
I think Sun is of the mindset that if she found Jin and was able to leave that island with Jin, it wouldn't matter who else left with them.
I agree with that. And you know what? As a mom and a wife, I would have the same focus.
Yeah.
I would 100% have the same focus.
And the island is looking for a guardian. She doesn't fit that role.
She will not. She wouldn't even play that game.
And she never will.
Right.
There's still hope that Kate or Jack or Hurley or even Saeed could still fit that role.
Well, okay, so let's talk about Saeed. So we know that Saeed goes on a completely different journey than the rest of them. And it's interesting that he's kind of thrown into this purgatory where they don't know where to put him. The island doesn't know where to put him. They don't know if they're going to put him with Jack, Kate, and Hurley or with the man in black. So I think that they throw him into, because he goes into the temple storyline.
But doesn't he, I think before that even, he ends up in the past because he becomes a prisoner of the Dharma Initiative and when meets young Ben.
Right. And that's not at the same time as where Jack and Kate and Hurley are.
It's not?
I don't think so.
No, because I think Sawyer finds Saeed.
Okay. So he's hidden away then.
Yeah.
as a prisoner.
He's hidden away as a prisoner in the Dharma
Okay.
Initiative.
Okay.
He's in the same timeline as Jack, Kate, and Sawyer.
So
Hurley.
why is he thrown into a totally different area than everybody else? You know what I mean?
Know. Yeah.
So
That
I can't wait to go back and revisit that, because I'm still not too sure on it, because I know that he has a big deal to do with the temple.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that he has a big arc with child Ben.
Well, if I remember correctly, that the storyline with him and child Ben happens first, because Ben brings him like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches when he's in the cell and kind of befriends him a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Sayid then is the one that helps him, or I think either one of the two of them helps the other get away from there. I don't know if Ben helps him escape or he escapes with Sayid. Like, I don't remember exactly how it happens, but I do remember that, if I remember correctly, young Ben is the one, he shoots Sayid as a child, shoots Sayid, and he is revived in the temple.
Okay. Yep. Okay. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm glad that we got that figured out.
This is just going off of memory because it has been a while since I've seen.
Right. And I don't want to delve
6.
too much into it. Because we're talking about the life and death of Jeremy Bentham. We're not talking about
exactly.
the future.
Yeah.
I understand that. I get it.
I mean, that was pretty much all the notes I had on the opening too. So,
yeah. Well, in doing that, we talked about kind of my 3 offshoots of all of our oceanic survivors and our losties.
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing I have left is like one little note, and that is that in India, the mango is considered the tree or fruit of knowledge / life. And John Locke is eating a mango at the very beginning, and he said, I think this is the best mango I've ever eaten in my life. And that gives him all the knowledge that he needs to know to complete his mission on the island.
Well, I mean, I found that very interesting too when he says, like, this might be the most delicious mango I've ever had. I've found that interesting, knowing what we know about John Locke, in that it's not John Locke, it's the Man in Black. So could this in essence be like, I mean, again, this is going to be revealed a little bit further on, and I don't remember exactly everything that has happened because I've forgotten a lot of stuff about these 2 seasons. Could he be saying that because this is, in fact, the first mango the Man in Black has had in a very long time? Probably.
I mean, I remember I gave up beef for a year, and the first time I had a cheeseburger after giving up beef for a year, it was the best burger I ever had in my life.
Right?
So, and that was a year.
So, I mean, I think he's saying that because they're hinting at, like, this is indeed not John Locke.
Right.
Because John's had mangoes before. He lived on an island for 100 days.
Many. Yep.
Yeah. So why would this suddenly be the best mango he's ever had? Because it's not John.
Because it's not John.
And whoever this person is has not had a mango in a very long time. So, because he hasn't been in a vessel that was able to. I mean, Christian Shepherd, but Christian Shepherd was more, I don't know, maybe that was different.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's very, very interesting. So I do have a bunch of other notes, but it's more about like meeting John's journey into seeing all these survivors again. Did you happen to notice, though, real quick, that there are a number of number references in this episode?
There are a lot. So go through them. Yeah.
I know of at least 3. So if you know of any others, please throw them in. Charles, after he created the alias of Jeremy Bentham, gives John the phone and tells him, if you need me, just press 23, which is 23. And sadly, the date of Helen's death.
April 4/8.
April 8th. Yeah, was 4/8. So we have 4/8 and 23 of the numbers. And I think this is actually the first time in a while we've gotten any of these numbers referenced. Do you know of any others?
Yes. Hang on.
Okay.
Because
I do not.
I was there. I had it up, and then I went on while you were doing that. I went on a different walkabout here. And it was because I wanted to look up Jeremy Bentham as a philosopher.
Well, yeah, because that was another thing too. When Charles Whitmore says your parents had a sense of humor, it's only right that I did. It's only fair that I do too.
Yeah, but I'm sure that Jeremy Bentham was used as a reason.
That's a strong possibility.
Yeah.
Everything is used for a reason.
Everything, yeah. Well, which is interesting because there is a thing that when Locke purchases the power cord to hang himself from Angel's Hardware, it's the name of a Southern California hardware retail chain that has been defunct since the 1980s. So I was like, is that for a reason?
Wait, do we see him buy the cord?
I think he has a bag.
Okay. All right. I was going to say, because I don't remember him going into a store and buying that cord.
But he had the cord, and I think he took it out of a bag.
But that's interesting that that's a store from the 80s.
From the 80s, yeah.
That's... I don't know what the purpose behind that is.
I don't either. I don't know if it was a mistake or if it was,
I don't think anything they do is a mistake.
I don't either.
Yeah, I have no idea. Well, what were some of the other number references?
There's numbers, but it's not really that interesting. I mean, the Life magazine that you were talking about, is from April 19th, 1954, 4/19/1954. So I think, what are the numbers? 4, 8,
15, 16, 23, 42.
16, 23, 42.
Those numbers are burned in my head.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've said them. I'm not going to lie.
I get excited anytime I play the lottery and those numbers pop up.
Like any of them?
Any of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Well, I'm just going to go over and I'm just going to read a little thing about John Locke real quick. So it says, or about Jeremy Bentham, just to see if that cooks anything up. So it says Jeremy Bentham was a utilitarian and legal positive philosopher. He also introduced the concept of animal rights, but he was in opposition to the concept of natural rights. He believed in separation of church and state, equal rights for women, the abolition of slavery, the abolition of physical punishment, free trade, usury, and the decriminalization of homosexuality. He was from the 1700s. These are very progressive thoughts for the 1700s.
Right? You're just listing all this stuff off, and I'm like, I would vote for this guy.
I would too. He was also the designer of a prison called Panopticon. Some people on the wiki claim that the Dharma structures on the Blastdoor map are based upon the design of the Panopticon. The Panopticon design entails sequestering the inmates in cells on an outer circular wall with a watching station in the center. This design is said to give guards the power associated with the illusion of being all-seeing, while the prisoners cannot tell whether they are being watched at any given moment or even see other prisoners. Sounds like a Charles Whitmore design.
Well, I'm also looking at pictures as you're speaking about this. I'm also looking at pictures of a Panopticon, and it's very curious because the guard tower in the middle of it is a lighthouse.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
It is literally a structure like a lighthouse where there is light shining in all directions to keep an eye on all the prisoners.
Interesting. So that's a very interesting thing. It is interesting to note that, like Rousseau, Bentham laid the foundation for the French Revolution. He was connected with leaders of the French Revolution, Mirabeau in particular, but he denounced the revolutionary thought of the time being based in natural rights. He also decreed the violence in which started with the Jacobins took power during the French Revolution. He started the University College London, which was the first English university to admit anyone, regardless of race, creed, or political ideology. It mirrored Bentham's philosophy, and he helped appoint one of his students, John Austin, as the first professor of jurisprudence in 1829. Kate Austin, John Austin.
When you said Austin, that clicked with me too.
So that is Jeremy Bentham. And then if we go down, because there's a lot, you could go to philosophers that are discussed in Lostpedia, and you can see a lot of different philosophers that are used. There's a Daniel Faraday, there's Hugo de Groot, there's David Hume, Clive Staples Lewis. John Locke was an Enlightenment philosopher who dealt with the relationship between nature and civilization, later to have great influence on founders of democratic governments, much like John Locke trying to be democratic in the beginning of the series. He believed that in the state of nature, all men had equal rights to punish transgressors. To ensure fair judgment for all, governments were formed to better administer the laws. This philosophy is paralleled by the character of Locke, who embraced both nature and the need for egalitarian organization among the survivors. He also, there's a lot about Locke.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah, it's like a lot. But I think that it's interesting that you see that John Locke and Jeremy Bentham have similar views, but different ways about going towards them. And I think that that's interesting because that's that very much mirrors the fight between Jacob and the Man in Black. And you can see kind of how those two ideologies of those two philosophers go into the character of John Locke / Jeremy Bentham / the Man in Black.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's again, like we kind of brought up a little bit earlier. I mean, and now like even in names of the philosophers that they're using too, everything that they're using in this show has been used for a purpose, whether it's names that they use, books, magazines, like literature in any sense of form, everything is used for a purpose.
Right. Agreed.
And without a lot of and sometimes even like without deep digging, you can miss a lot of these references that they're using.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, some of them are right there on the surface, like John Locke and Jeremy Bentham, even mentioning, Charles Whitmore mentioning that they're philosophers. So it's right there on the surface. Mm-hmm. But some of this stuff, man, you really have to dig deep for.
Well, and I think that the prison cell, the Panopticon, did I say that right?
Panopticon. Yeah, Panopticon. Okay. Yep.
I think that that's really interesting and something that I didn't know.
Me neither.
1.5 minutes ago.
Yeah. And especially, like I mentioned, looking at the design of it, how the center of it, the guard tower, is a lighthouse.
Throw the picture up. I
mean, that kind of makes it... I won't just throw up one picture. I'll actually throw up the whole thing here. Sorry for anybody who's that was my camera. Did not mean to do that. Sorry for anybody who is on the audio. But if you look here, you look at a lot of these different designs.
Oh, I see the lighthouse that you're talking about.
And the center is basically a lighthouse.
Looks like a lighthouse. And then there's all these little cells, like almost in a circular form, kind of like the Colosseum. It's kind of like if you were to look at the Colosseum and the inside of the Colosseum was all prison cells. And then in the center of the Colosseum, instead of gladiators fighting, it's a big structure that looks exactly like a lighthouse, which is very, very interesting. I think we should come back to this image later when we start getting into the lighthouse.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, for sure. But it's very interesting to think about this, too, because when I Googled Panopticon and this came up, I mean, it's a prison with a lighthouse-like structure in the center, which basically means that like these people in this game that they're playing are not just pieces of a game, they're kind of also prisoners to this whole thing that's happening, meaning they're locked into this. There is no escape for them. They are prisoners to this story, whether they like it or not. They are connected and there's no getting out of it. They are locked away.
Yes. 100%. I agree.
And it's just...
And the more they try to get away, the more the island fights back, which is why they're in the situation that they're in right now.
Yeah. Well, look what happens to prisoners when they try to escape. I mean, for the most part, they're brought back and they're punished.
Mm-hmm.
This is what's happening to these characters.
And that's the whole fate versus free will discussion, that it's a common theme throughout the entire series is, do you have free will or is everything designed by your fate?
Yeah.
So, and I think that that's a question that human beings just as a whole kind of struggle with their entire lives.
Well, I find it very interesting too, because one of the titles of one of these articles that I'm just now noticing is them saying the Panopticon is watching us all, which is basically this design is a way for them to see everybody at once. Instead of checking in on different people at different times, this design was the way for them to be able to watch everyone at one time.
Crazy.
God, like, again, this is what happens when you dive this deep into this shit.
Yeah, I agree.
But I love it. I absolutely love it.
I do too. That's why I loved Game of Thrones so much, because, you get all that rich history and you can connect anything. And I love smart television. I love smart television.
Well, and I think that's one of the reasons why so many people probably started having so many issues with the show at this point into season 5 and into season 6 is because there was so much stuff to dive that deep into that they just didn't want to. I think the people that started having issues with the show, and I apologize to anybody listening who might have been one of those people, is I think they wanted more laziness in a show. They wanted surface writing.
I wouldn't even call it that. I would say that Lost was really ahead of its time with this kind of thing, because now those shows are everywhere.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like, people love smart shows that are like a puzzle. People love it. Those are the shows that do best right now.
Yeah.
Lost was way ahead of its time with doing that.
We talked about it last episode. It was the first real instance that we can think of water cooler talk.
Exactly. Other than like, talking about sports on Monday or something like that, Yeah.
It was the first real form of appointment television too. I mean, there are shows that people tuned into every week, but Lost was the first time we heard of people like having an absolute need to have to watch it when it aired.
Right. Yeah. I completely agree. So it's fun to revisit it now.
And you're right. There's so many other shows that are like that now, including The Last of Us, which is one that we're both into now, which I transitioned to that for a purpose because breaking news, as we're recording this, it has just been announced that Last of Us is getting a season 2.
Of course it is.
That was a no-brainer. I mean, come on. But HBO literally just announced about 5-10 minutes ago, well, more like 20 minutes ago, at the time that we're recording, that season 2 has been greenlit. So we knew coming. Come on, that was anybody who's watching the show knows that's a no-brainer. That was a no-brainer. I'm actually surprised it didn't get a season 2 before season 1 even started.
Yeah. Well, that's okay.
Yeah. Which both I love and I'm really worried at the same time because, again, this is off topic. The first season is covering the first game.
No. I know what you're about to say, and stop saying it right now.
No. All I'm going to say is just. If you think the first game is emotional,
I know what you're about to say. Yeah, I've heard about the second game is just real dark.
Yeah, it's dark. That's all I will say. Anyway, back to Lost. That's a great find on the Panopticon too. Like
I love that. I'm going to look more into that.
I think we definitely should revisit that when we're talking about
on the lighthouse,
which isn't 100%. Until next season.
Yeah, but stay tuned because we'll dive deep into that the lighthouse episode.
If you didn't think we were already deep enough,
wait till we start talking about the Panopticon.
Stay tuned for next season.
Well, that's it. That's all I got. So what do you have?
So, I mean, I'll go through these relatively quickly. Sure. When John meets Saeed, this is post-assassin Saeed. Because we know that Ben manipulated Saeed into working for him. And So this is post that, and this is because Nadia, unfortunately, has been murdered. I think we do find out a little bit more about that later as to who was behind the murder.
Backstory. It's a good episode.
There's an episode with Saeed when we find all of that. Because just because these people are back on the island does not mean we're done with them off the island. We're going to learn a lot more about everything these characters went through when they were off the island. I kind of mentioned already that when John goes to see Walt, he definitely looks genuinely happy. This is one of the first, I think, moments of pure happiness we've ever seen John have in this series. And it's because he is this is someone he connected with. And he's just very happy to see that they are actually doing well. They're living a normal life. They're not involved in any of this. Which I find it very interesting when Abaddon says you're 0 for 2 and he's like, all I need is to convince one. Walt was not on that list. So he's still technically 0 for 1 at this point.
Unless getting everybody meant getting Walt back as well. I mean, they weren't very specific about who everybody encompassed.
That's true. Yeah, so maybe, okay. So maybe that was it. I found it very interesting, but also kind of very caring of John to lie to Walt.
I think Walt knew he was lying.
I think he did too.
Yeah.
I think he knew. And I think he actually appreciated the fact that John didn't tell him.
Yeah.
And it's also interesting to note that Walt is still having visions. Because he tells John that he has the dreams that he's in a suit and he's surrounded by people that want to hurt him. Which is pretty much what we're going to get. We've kind of already gotten hinted at.
Parentheses, don't go.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Before you go, don't go.
Moving on to Hurley. I love how Hurley says, so you didn't make it, huh? And he's more freaked out by seeing John alive than dead.
For sure.
Which I thought was pretty interesting. Because when he first sees John, he thinks he's just another guy he's visioning just the same way he does Charlie.
Right.
Makes him assume that John Locke is dead. And then when he finds out that John is very much alive, he kind of freaks out. The only thing I was confused about, and I got to go back to the Walt thing too, because I did have a gripe with that I did mention earlier. The only thing I was confused about is when he says, like, hey, am I sitting here talking to a man in a wheelchair? And they tell him, yes, he freaks out. But early on, somebody tells him your friend over there is looking for you, and it's Charlie. So other people were able to see Charlie too. So why was he not free? Why was he so freaked out over John when people could see him, but not over Charlie?
That must have been a continuity error.
Well, and this is also the gripe with the Walt scene that I think is also a continuity error is when Walt says to Hurley, I was visited by Jeremy Bentham. John never told Walt that was his name. That was the name he was going by. So how did Walt know that?
Well, Walt has vision, so that's easier to explain.
True. Yeah, that's true. That's very easy to theorize. John and Kate is very simple. There's really not a lot that happens there other than the talk of Helen and how he was in love once.
She was unnecessarily mean to him.
Right? I have in my notes, Kate was bitchy.
Like she was not great to him.
Because when she says like, well, what happened? And he's like, I became obsessed and such. And she says, well, look how far you've come. I'm like, you bitch.
I hated it when she was like, you've never loved anyone. How could you have nobody to go home to? Of course you wanted to stay on the island. It was not Kate. Like being on the mainland, being rescued just changed her for the worse, I think.
I don't necessarily think it's just that. I think it's the fact that she is now free of all of the things that were following her. The court case and everything. And I think that changes her too. Like before she was watching her back. Now she's not watching her back anymore, which means she's kind of free to be probably who she actually is,
Well,
which is
I
a much worse person.
don't like her free then.
No.
I hate saying that.
No, I get what you're saying though.
Yeah.
Jack and John together, which by the way,
Jack's a mess.
which by the way, he's not even that big of a mess yet. He's on the verge.
Right.
And then the visit is what sends Jack spiraling. That's when he starts buying all the plane tickets. That's when the beard gets longer. That's when, like, it's John visiting him. Well, not visiting him. He kind of got forced to be there by getting hit by a car after Ben killed Abaddon. There's so much that happens in this episode. It's ridiculous. I'm disappointed in myself that I didn't mention the Jack and Jill reference last week and last week's episode. In that the woman that ran the butcher shop where John's body was being kept was named Jill.
Yeah.
So it was Jack and Jill.
Yeah. That's funny.
Completely forgot. It had nothing to do with the show. It was just a fun thing. Yeah. So you're right. We're seeing Jack as a mess. This is the Jack becoming the man of fate person that we see now on the island. These are two totally contradicting versions of Jack, and Jack pretty much at the top of the hill that he's ready to start spiraling down. And it's Jack that kind of sends him over the edge.
He's going to fall down and break his crown.
Oh, God. All right.
You did it.
I know. I love how John was able to deduce that Christian was Jack's father.
Right.
You know, I thought that was great. He was able to figure it out on his own, even when he asked Christian, like, well, who's your son? And then
you don't look like Cheech Marin to me.
Yeah, well, he's obviously not Hurley's father, and he's not Saeed's father, so that just kind of leaves you.
Yeah.
And then just finally, kind of, you know, fast forwarding to the Westerfield Hotel, the whole scene with John about to hang himself before Ben bursts in, and you were absolutely right how it's hearing Eloise Hawkins' name is kind of a switch that flips in Ben, and it's kind of like, well, okay. This was master manipulator Ben. He was going to bring John along for the ride until he got what he needed. Eloise was what he needed. He didn't need John anymore. And he ends up murdering John. He ends up strangling him with the wire, with the extension cord.
1980s cord.
Yeah. But from the 1980s hardware store.
Right.
Wrapping up with "I'll miss you, John. I really will," which is actually very believable. I think he really will miss John.
They were both men of faith.
Yeah, there was a lot more in common between the two of them than I think Ben was afraid to admit, and I think he kind of realized that in the end. Well,
Locke was his main competition, and that was Ben's biggest fear, was that he had such strong competition in John Locke.
Which is why it becomes very interesting going forward, because the episode ends with John seeing one of the injured passengers is Ben.
All beat up.
And I remember Ben, if I remember correctly, Ben is very freaked out when he sees that John is still alive.
Yeah.
Until he realizes who John is. And then there's no longer competition. He's now a follower.
Did a cat just cross over?
I noticed that.
That was awesome.
Yeah, Lucy just, for those watching on YouTube, there was just a huge shadow behind me
with a big tail behind it.
Yeah, she's over there. So that's all I have on my end for the episode, and I think you're covered as well. Correct?
I'm done too. That was nice.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
There's so much that happens in this episode, but I loved it. Next episode 8, Le Fleur.
Yay.
One of my favorite episodes of this season.
Yay.
Love this episode. And this is where we're going to find out for certain where these people are at.
Yes.
We do, in my research, I did see that we do see Christian a couple more times throughout the season. 2 more times in this season, and I think 2 times next season, one of them being the series finale. We're going to see him in episode 9, Namaste.
Okay.
And we're going to see him again in the incident, in one of the 2 parts of the incident. Okay. So
That makes sense.
These could be the actual Christian Shepherd in flashback form, or they could be the Man in Black in the form of Christian Shepherd. I don't know. I don't remember. So we're gonna have to watch.
I'm excited
and find out. But I'll be paying attention to it, of course.
I don't think that the Man in Black was in Christian Shepherd.
You think that was somebody different?
I think it was Jacob.
But why would
White
Jacob
shoes versus black shoes?
Oh, I didn't pick up on that. I did not pick up on that. I didn't think about that. But that makes a lot of sense. The only thing that confuses me about that theory is why was Christian helping Ben?
Because Ben was really on the right path. He just did it wrong.
All right, fair enough.
We can discuss it more.
I'll buy it. No,
Okay.
I'm totally in. I'm right on board with that. You sold me on the white shoes.
Oh, okay.
Because I didn't think about that. I was already sold on
I had
theory.
you at hello.
Yes. We do have some feedback from listeners this episode. Of course, we have a voicemail from our friend Chris, our friend Steve, not Chris. But we also got a very quick email from our friend Des. Happy to hear back from him again. Did you get that? Because I sent it to you. Then I will just read it on my end. This is from our buddy Des Combs, and it's a very quick email. He just says, "Hey guys, so great to have you back. I really don't have a lot to say about this episode because, well, I never cared too much for John as a character. I will say, back when it first aired, I was rooting Ben on. Hey, I'm not always a good guy. Hopefully, I'll be able to call in next week when I'm not so coffee and phlegmy. Peace out."
Oh. I get you, Des. I get you.
Yeah. But thanks for writing in, Des, and hope you feel better.
Me too.
For sure.
If you have what I just had and still kind of have, then I'm sorry.
It
doesn't go away.
It's going around. It's that time of year. So, but we do have a voicemail from our friend Steve Brown.
Yay.
So let's play that now.
Hello, Ben and Kristin. This is Steve, and this is going to be for the life and death of Jeremy Bentham. This is the guy who talked to Jack, right? I think, Ben, you said his name is Cesar. Okay, Caesar and Ilana. Oh, no, he was on the plane. He just wasn't in the passenger section. Hey, it looks like John took his shoes off. Oh, such a chilling line. I remember dying. Oh, not the friendliest would-be ambulance ride for John out of the desert. Compound fracture. That's what they call it when the bone is protruding out. I couldn't think of it. This is all crazy for John because for him it's only been 4 days, but for everybody else it's been 3 years. Wild. Charles Widmore is just another pawn like everybody else, even John. So Charles Widmore doesn't know about the John dying and the proxy thing, apparently. Oh, and love Lance Riddick. He's so good. Saeed is talking to John about this, and I know what happened with his wife, the woman, but have we seen it already yet in this rewatch, or is it later? Lance Reddick just said, "Boy's gotten big," and now we know exactly why he was written off the show. That's right. Hugo Hurley thinks that John is a figment or a ghost right now, but he doesn't realize he's real. Right, I forgot that he was the orderly in the hospital that told John to go on his walkabout. So do we think, and I've never thought about this before until just now, is Matthew, Lance Riddick's character, is he the opposite of Richard Alpert? I mean to say he's on the side of the Man in Black, whereas Richard Alpert is on the side of Jacob. Is that too far-fetched? Wait, I forgot about this. Matthew getting shot. Who's shooting him? So many car wrecks. Oh, that's harsh, Jack. I mean, it's probably true that he's just a lonely old man who crashed on an island, but still it's harsh. So he was going to kill himself, and I guess they took the cast off him before they put him in the coffin? Yeah, that's right. Ben's knocking on the door. Abaddon, that was his name, not Matthew. Where'd I get Matthew from? So do you think that Ben had to kill John because in order to be a true proxy for Christian Shepherd, he had to be murdered and not kill himself? Just a thought. He was able to clean everything up, but how did he fix the door? Or I guess maybe the police would have to break in the door? I don't know. So the door is fixed, so he fixed the door as well. I don't know. Great line. The timing would just confuse you. Yeah, John, we're all confused about the timing. Oh, damn. He's the man who killed me. Oh, now I've got to wait a week. Dang it.
You don't have to wait a week, Steve. You could just watch it now.
I do love it though. I love live Steving so much. It's so fun.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. He brought up a couple good points in that
Yes.
too. I never picked up. I don't think I picked up on the fact that John woke John was not wearing shoes. That's an
He took off his
point.
shoes. Yeah, they had him on the beach folded up.
Okay. Yeah, I never really picked up on that. I did think about the fact that maybe John needed to die rather than kill himself. That thought did cross my mind. And that's why Ben would not allow him to kill himself, because in order to be that vessel, he needed to be killed.
Maybe. I do like the fact that he thought that maybe Matthew Abaddon, that's where you got Matthew from, Steve, is that it's Matthew Abaddon.
Yes. Yeah.
But I do like the fact that Richard and Abaddon are different counterparts for Jacob and the Man in Black.
I didn't think about that either. I thought that was a really good observation.
I thought that was a very good observation.
Yeah.
And yes, I do love Lance Riddick as well, who, for anybody that is following the upcoming series, Percy Jackson, the upcoming Amazon series, Lance Riddick was just cast as Zeus.
Really?
Yeah, I'm very excited about that.
I did not know
great
that.
Casting. It's a great casting.
That's a really good casting.
Yeah.
It's an interesting casting for Zeus, but I love it.
Yeah, I think he's going to nail it. I think he's going to be real good.
Well, I find it funny, too, that right after he got shot, it crossed my mind. I was like, oh, so that's when he goes to Fringe full time.
I loved when Abaddon said, I'm just a driver. My job is to get people to where they need to go.
Yeah.
Like, because that's all when you look back on this character, that is all he does. That is his sole purpose. You could put probably all of his scenes edited together, and that would be what he does. There's no arc to his character. There's no like revelation or anything. He is just a vessel that gets the main people where they need to be. And that's it.
I think that's what really makes that observation that Steve made really great, in the fact that he could be the counterpoint to Richard Alpert, because Richard, in a sense, kind of does the same thing. He kind of directs people where to go and where to be at a certain time. At least he does with John, which is Matthew Abaddon does the same thing for John too. Yep. So
because John plays both sides of this story. Yeah. And he's the only one that plays both sides of this story.
Yeah. I just thought that was a great observation. That was
Thank you so much, Steve.
I never really considered it. But thank you guys both for the feedback, and we encourage everybody to leave us feedback about the episode or about any of the thoughts that we had going forward. So the way you can do that is by visiting our website, revisitedpod.com. There you can find links to all of our social media, ways to subscribe, video versions of the podcast, and all that fun stuff, including ways to leave us a voicemail or email feedback in for the podcast. Kristin, it is your week for recommendations. So what you got?
I'm super late to the party on this. I realize I'm super late to the party on this, but I am 3 episodes away from finishing the first season of Yellow Jackets, and it is fantastic. I am so glad that Jason told me about the show, because I would never have known about the show. I don't have Showtime. I'm not dialed into that kind of stuff. So that was strictly a show I only knew about because somebody told me about the show. If you are a 90s teenager like I was born in 1980. So my entire teenage years were in the 90s. Then you will just feel right at home with the past elements of the show. And it's just really good. And I went into it not knowing very much about it. And I think that I will leave that to those of you who haven't seen the show to do the same thing.
I did watch it. I enjoyed the first season. Again, I think you and I talked a little bit about this before we started recording, but I kind of feel like it got very overhyped to me. So maybe I just didn't. I don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed it, and I will. I'm fully on board for season 2, which is going to be starting relatively soon.
March.
And I'll watch it week to week, unlike I did season 1 of Yellow Jackets. I kind of binged it after it finished. But yeah, it's a great series. The cast is fantastic. Juliette Lewis, Christina Ricci. It's got a great cast. Melanie Linsky. You mentioned Jason, who is he was the creator of the Podcastica Network. So if you're a fan of the show and you want to check out a podcast on the series, you can check out Yellow Jackets WTF, which you can find links on podcastica.com, which I want to mention 2 other Podcastica podcasts since we are part of the Podcastica Network as well. The Cast of Us, which is currently running right now and currently covering the first season of The Last of Us, which is me and Jason, Eric, aka Mr. Blog, Rima, and Lucy, who are all friends of ours. Kristin, you've been doing some of the live reacts, which air immediately on YouTube right after the episode ends. You and I just did the last one for episode 2, which was an absolute blast.
Yeah, that was fun.
And I'm sure you'll be on future ones as well going forward. We mentioned season 2 was already just announced earlier today, so that's great news. But the other podcast I want to mention is a relatively newer podcast called It's Showtime, Folks, where just a bunch of different people on every episode. It's different people every episode. They just come together and they talk about a particular movie that they love. And going into Oscar season, expect a lot of the Oscar-nominated movies to get spoken of, which brings me to the point in that Kristin and I are going to be doing an episode of It's Showtime, Folks, that'll probably be out next week, where the 2 of us, and possibly a third, we're going to be talking about Everything Everywhere All at Once, which was a movie we both absolutely...
Both of our favorite movies from last year.
Which I'm so excited to talk about. I can't wait to the Oscars because I want to see...
It got 11 nominations.
Yes, it did. More than any other movie.
I hope it win. I hope it sweeps. I really do.
It deserves Best Picture. I think Banshees of Inisherin is a strong contender because that's what won the Golden Globe for Best Picture. But I think Everything Everywhere All at Once has a strong chance of winning. Michelle Yeoh deserves to win. Jamie Lee Curtis deserves to win. Ki-Hugh Kwan absolutely deserves to win.
He was fantastic. He played 2 different roles in that movie. Yeah, he was fantastic. I was really disappointed that it did not get nominated for special effects. I thought that was a glaring snub.
I agree with you completely.
Okay,
but it's up for Best Director, Best Supporting Actress, Leading Actress, Supporting Actor.
We'll talk about it more
on
our episode. But yeah, we're excited to cover it. As you can tell, we're excited to cover it.
But just go to, obviously, revisitedpod.com for our podcast, for this podcast, or go to podcastica.com for all the other podcasts that we just mentioned as well. Anything else? Any final notes before we wrap this up?
No.
Cool. So, again, Season 5, Episode 8, Le Fleur is the next episode we're going to be covering on this podcast, which I'm very excited about. Thank you to everybody for being a part of the audience, for listening, for watching, whichever way you view, whichever way you take this podcast in. Thank you for just being a part of this family. But until next time, we'll see you guys further on down that rabbit hole. Take care.
Bye.
We have to go back, Kate. We have to go back!